Okay, hello class. My name is Lawrence, and this is DOC 600, and doing Dr. Bridget's class, and we're going to do the research on employment engagement and how it positively affects organizational performance. So the title is going to be Employment Engagement and the Relationship to Positive Organizational Performance. The rationale for study. Basically, what I wanted to do was I wanted to show a direct positive relationship between increased employment engagement and increased organizational performance. So basically, what my thing is if the employees are more engaged, the better the organization does. Also wanted to determine that if jobs at every level have the ability to engage employees. So basically, we want to know if does the low end jobs and high end jobs all have the same level of engagement. And then also, we want to positively improve management style and capabilities to help achieve employment engagement. So my argument there is that the managers have a lot to do with how engaged employees are. So it's not just to look at the employees, but also the managers that lead the employees. Okay. So then the next step that we're going to go to is the research questions. So the research questions that I have would be, does increased employment engagement positively affect organizational performance? So that's the number one thing that I want to find out. Basically, the whole premise of the research is to find out how we can improve organizational performance, and my argument is that I can do it through employee engagement. Then the next question is, do all the levels of work in the organization have the same level ability to engage employees? The third question I would have is employment engagement and derived deployments a measurable phenomenon? So can employee engagement be measured? Is there a numerical value we can assess to it so that we can say if employees are engaged 50%, then the organization increases by that much, or so on and so forth. The next question I would have would be, does employee engagement depend on the employer's psychological profile? We all know that everybody that goes to work isn't have different psychological profiles. So some people have the ability to enjoy work. Some people just, they just want to do what they have to do and get out of there. So basically how the employees are psychologically developed will determine their level of engagement and determine if they can in fact even be engaged. So that's part of the study as well. And then also what I mentioned before is, does the effectiveness of managers does the managers directly affect employment engagement? So does how good a person manages their employees affect employee engagement? I believe that is very true. So the next thing we're going to do is the literature reviews that I would use to help conduct my research would be, the first one is the link perceived human resource management practices, engagement and employee behavior. Job and work attitudes, employment engagement, and employee performance. Another study that I would look at is employee engagement, a driver of organizational effectiveness. And then the last study I would look at is a study in the drivers of employment engagement impacting employee performance. So these 5 studies would give me kind of an overall view of the research that I need to develop to kind of prove my point that I believe that employment engagement will definitely increase performance for the organization. So those are the 5 literature reviews that I would help to do to support my theory. Next, the methodology that I would use would be, let's see here. So I would basically try to use 6 individual organizations, and I would do case studies on 3 organizations that have good organizational performance and 3 organizations that have substandard organizational performance. So I can compare the two, and then also I would also use employee surveys for each of those organizational companies to try to gauge their level of engagement. Because what I want to know is find out where they are now, and then if they're more engaged, does the performance increase? So those are the 2 research methods that I would use. Now, as I looked at the research, I realized that this is not exact because one of my first considerations was, can engagement be measured? So can somebody be 25% engaged, 50% engaged, 100% engaged? How do you know? The survey questions would try to give us an idea of how much they're engaged by answering the questions. But like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied you are with working? 7 would be like 7%. So that's kind of what I would use that when I'm doing the surveys. And then the case studies, like I said, I'd have to find some measurability quantities to measure employment engagement and see how it stacks up against organizational performance. And then the next part is the significance of the research. Well, the basis of my theory here is that if employees are more engaged at work, the productivity increases. And also, a healthy organization culture will create a healthy organizational culture will be created with more employee engagement and happier, more fulfilled employees. And the number one thing is increased productivity from employees directly and positively increase the output of the organization, thereby increasing organizational performance. And then the last significance, which is what all organizations strive for, is organizational performance ultimately means, increased organizational performance ultimately means an increase in revenue. And my theory is, if you go from the top to the bottom, if employees are more engaged, your revenue should increase, and that's the main significance. I mean, we want the productivity, we want the culture to be good, but bottom line is the organization can't stay open if they don't produce revenue. And if you can increase employee engagement, I believe that the revenue will drive that. My references are all listed here. I used a couple of different areas in the library and Google Scholar as well. So those are my references. And once again, I would like to thank you for joining me for my attempt to do the research and employee engagement, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And have a good day. See ya.